I'm a disgruntled Eagles fan, and we're awesome.
Welcome, Disgruntled. We got a lot of Eagles news to discuss. Been short time in between videos. Talking videos since the season recap. But let's start off with the most recent news that happened just a few hours ago. Eagles fire Mike Groh and Carson Walch.
You're fired!
I think I pronounced his name correctly today. And thank the Lord they fired them too. They past 2 years since they've been hired, after the Super Bowl run, after we got rid of Frank Wright, he went to the Colts, and I don't know who our previous wide receiver coach was, or during the Super Bowl run, but Mike Groh and Carson Walch both joined the same time, same off season. After the Super Bowl run, they both joined during that off season, and let's just say the offense and wide receiver core has just been terrible, to say the least. The production in the offense this year and last year just doesn't just isn't what it needs to be. It's just been terrible. Okay, give it granted to what Mike Groh at the end of the season, last 4 games, I'll give him credit. He did the best that he could with. He did the best that he could with practice squad guys, filtering them out and actually winning 4 games, putting up high numbers. But on the other side of that, they were all terrible teams and needed to. Obviously, they're going to score a lot of points against them. Should have won the Dolphins game. I know that was a shootout, but still, you need to score a lot more points against the Dolphins. The Dolphins were just getting run over by any team. I know that you still had, we had Jeffrey that game, we had Aguilar that game. We could have just destroyed the Dolphins even though our defense wasn't there. And we had, the beginning of this season, we had most of our guys. Jackson got out hurt, after the first game he got injured during that Redskins game, but you still had bulk of your weapons during the Falcons-Lions game, and he just flopped those couple games, and he just didn't score as many as he needed. It just felt like the past 2 years the offense had weapons. Sure, injuries, like I talked about in the previous video, killed us the last 3 seasons, but still had stars, bulk of our stars playing through majority of the season, and I felt like most every play stalled except for a couple games where it didn't, but they were against bad teams. The only impressive win this year was against the Bills and the Packers too, but I just felt like we destroyed the Bills, and that was our only offensive just destruction where we just ran up and down the field against them. But we just couldn't get anything going. I felt like we were doing 3 and out constantly this year, and you can't do that in this league, obviously. And it just completely stalled out during the Seahawks game. Okay, I know most injuries, like I said, killed us, but we had so many red zone opportunities that we just didn't utilize during the Seahawks game. I know you were using a backup in McCown, but still, you gotta punch those in for touchdowns, and you can't just. Gotta make better play calls on those 4th downs if you do get into situations, and the couple 4th down calls toward the end of the game were just terrible. And let's talk about the wide receiver coach. Probably heard this stat. Carson Wentz is the first quarterback to throw over 4,000 yards and have none of his wide receivers have over 500 yards receiving. All of them are under 500. First quarterback to do that, and in this league, I don't honestly. It's a pass-happy league. I don't understand how you don't have a receiver over 500 yards. There's a few receivers that are doing that in just a few games, and you had Jeffrey, you had Aguilar through at least halfway through the season, which that could have easily gotten over 500 yards, and just our tight end Zach Ertz. He's been our main receiver for the past couple years. He had 1,000 yards last year, almost 1,000 yards this year. I think he would have went over 1,000 yards again for the second straight year if he wouldn't have gotten hurt the last game due to fractured fractured rib and lacerated kidney, I feel like he would have went over 1,000 yards. So the tight end squad is obviously doing their part. And to have a tight ends and running backs to catch more than your receiver or have more yards than your receivers is just ridiculous in this league. This is a pass-happy league, and where receivers are getting at least 800 to 1,000 yards yearly on that's just consistent. We don't have any big playmakers on wide receiver either, like I said in the last episode, but we don't have any big wide receivers that can constantly get you 1,000 yards. But still, a good coach can make young receivers look great in this league. I feel like it's majority about coaching rather than dependent on players. Yeah, sure, the players are obviously a big part of it, but coaches are everything in this league. If you don't have good coaches, then your players aren't going to play as well, and they're going to struggle because with different schemes in this league and motivation to do other things in this league is just, you need great coaching in this league to have any success, to get anywhere in this league. And I feel like Doug Peterson did the right move here by firing both of them. I called it in the last video, and he did the right move in firing both the coaches because they're just struggling, just getting stalled on most every drive. Even signed Carson Wentz to freaking $100+ million deal, and you just don't see. Well, he's been very productive, but he's just not getting the help that he's needed to move the ball down the field. And then you have Doug Peterson said this today in the press conference. He said, "After much consideration and discussion, I have decided to make a change at the offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach positions. It was not an easy decision for me to make, and I appreciate everything that Mike, Groh, and Carson Walch contributed to the organization and to my staff. As I said yesterday, they were a big part of our success down the stretch of this past season. This is one of the most difficult parts of the job and something that weighs on me, but ultimately I have to make decisions that I believe are in best interest of the football team moving forward. I apologize for my confusion that I created during yesterday's press conference, including my comments on Coach Schwartz, who has done a great job as our defensive coordinator. It was my intent not to comment on any of my staff during the ongoing evaluations because I wanted to be able to go through the process and communicate any decisions directly with the individuals. I did a poor job of explaining that the first time I was asked. I will continue to evaluate everything and consider all possibilities to improve our football team." Coach Doug Peterson went about that very well. He said everything that he needed to. He made up for yesterday's press conference because he said that he was going to keep Mike Groh, or it looks like he was going to keep Mike Groh through next season, but that obviously changed today. And let's move to a different coach. Let's segue into a different coach, Jim Schwartz, our defensive coordinator. And this is the one that I want to keep. I want to keep him. He's a great defensive coach. But past few days, he's been interviewed for the Browns head coach job. Browns recently fired their head coach, and in the last couple days, he's been interviewed for that job. I got kind of sad when I heard that because I'm still very soaked on him and very excited on him because he's just a great defensive coordinator. He was a big part of why we won the Super Bowl. Big reason why we were in games the past couple of seasons with our offense stalling on most drives, on a lot of drives, not most. And I know he had some hiccups as comes to this job, but just what he did with this defense, he's done a really, really good job with this defense, and I want to keep him around. He's held teams to under 20 points a lot during this season. If you can do that in this league, then you should be able to score more than 20 points to win this league. And his schemes are really good, and I just want to keep him. There's obviously his universal or renowned preventions defense on 3rd and long. You gotta love that. He's put a big indent into fans, Eagle fans, the past few years. Just a really good coach, and I don't think we should get rid of him. But he can improve as of every coach, as he didn't really blitz a lot this year, or he's not known for blitzing a lot, and the cornerbacks are awful, so hopefully we can draft more defensive players to make it better for him, because we don't have like that one huge star on defense, that big playmaker that can get you a lot of turnovers. I mean, Fletcher Cox is that big name, but I mean, we just need turnovers on defense more. I'll talk about that next video. Next video, I'm going to be looking into drafts, like the draft picks or on recent free agency signings. And the last thing that I want to go over in this video is already too long for my liking, but it's the new coaches that came into the NFC with the Cowboys, new coach Mike McCarthy, as you probably already heard. Now, I got a few things to say on him. He always killed us when we played against Green Bay. He absolutely destroyed us. Every time when we went to Lambeau to play him, he would just annihilate us. And that, in a sense, makes me really worried. Him coming into the NFC East and staying, I think, for at least a couple to a few years. But that worries me a little bit, because in the past, he just always had the Eagles' numbers. And the past few years, the Cowboys already had our number a few times. A few too many for my likings, but I know that Mike McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers. He didn't really do anything with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he won that one Super Bowl, but you had a Hall of Famer quarterback and you didn't win more than one Super Bowl. That was kind of shocking, honestly, but I feel like the Cowboys have more weapons than the Green Bay Packers, or what Mike McCarthy had while coaching Green Bay Packers. Now, not in all means, I'm not comparing Dak Prescott to Aaron Rodgers at all, but I mean, you have more weapons, as in Ezekiel Elliott. You have Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb as a threat, and you have a great defense. You have a few great defensive players, as in the linebacker, I can't pronounce his name, and a few good corners. Dak and I mean, he's not like freaking MVP, like world-setting talent, but he's a good quarterback. He's definitely a really good quarterback. That makes me scared in a way, because it's just, if Mike McCarthy can do what he did in Green Bay with limited talent except for Aaron Rodgers, yeah, that kind of makes me scared to play against him twice this season. To flip that around, he's going to be coaching under Jerry Jones. So Cowboys have Jerry Jones, so that just like eradicates everything that I just said, basically. Jerry Jones, I feel like he's just going to destroy Mike McCarthy. I mean, just diminish what he is as a coach, because he's just too controlling, as you guys know, and he's already wanting to choose his offensive coordinator for Mike McCarthy, but usually the head coach makes the decisions of who coaches underneath him. So, but basically Jerry Jones is already like controlling everything, so I feel pretty good about that he's just going to destroy any hope that Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys have, because Jerry Jones is just going to wreck it, and that makes me feel a lot better seeing that he's still the owner, and that calms my nerves with Mike McCarthy entering into the Cowboys coaching staff. Redskins coach Ron Rivera, he's a very good coach. He was with the Panthers, brought him to a Super Bowl. He's a really good coach. I feel like he can elevate that team to at least mediocre 8-8 season, or not if better. That makes me hesitant, and him coming, two coaches entering the NFC East with previous success in the league. But you don't really see recycled coaches, or you don't really see coaches from other teams who had success or at least winning the Super Bowl, win another Super Bowl for another team. You don't see that often. So that gives me a little bit of confidence boost. But two very good coaches entering the NFC East, which is going to make it even harder to win this game or in this division. But you know what? You had one of the easiest divisions in the league. Freaking 9-7 winning the division. We showed honestly, we should have 2 years coming off a Super Bowl win. We should have destroyed this division, but yeah, we struggled somehow. And firing offensive coordinator and wide receiver coach will elevate us and destroying once again like we did in our Super Bowl run. And lastly, the Giants head coach. I don't know much on him. Not many people do. Not many people knew much about Doug Peterson entering into Eagles head coach a few years ago. So, I mean, it could either be a bust or it could do really well and they could go 16-0, win the Super Bowl, Giants win again. Probably against the Patriots for all we know, but a lot of new changes happening in the NFC East with coaching. Doug Peterson, the only head coach that's still in the league in the NFC East. I mean, still coaching for the same team. And I think this free agency coming up this year is going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of new changes happening with different players getting signed, draft picks, coaching, swapping. It's just going to be a big and an exciting year, and I'm exciting year for the offseason, and I'm excited for it. Obviously, I'd rather have us in the playoffs, but I feel big changes coming soon. I'm going to be updating as often as I can because I'm really enjoying these videos and just talking. So I'm going to be updating you as much as I can. College is going to be hectic, a lot of work, but I'm going to try to bring you as many videos as I can, way shorter than this. I'm thinking about starting a couple new series as well. So stay in tune for that, and thanks for watching.